Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily for Thursday afternoon here in the Peg. We got game one tonight between the Canadiens and the Carolina Hurricanes. Kind of surprising start to the Western Conference final last night with the Vegas Golden Knights going in and getting a win in Denver. We'll talk about that. Big win with a lot of Winnipeg Jet contribution today at the World Championships as well. We'll get to all of that coming up right off the bat. Details on the Jets draft party. And, we have to talk about this time change thing as well. Later on in the program, though, we're going to check in with Darren Bauming on the Blue Bombers. It's been a minute since we've talked to DB. He's been taken in Blue Bomber training camp. We'll get his thoughts on the upcoming season. We're going to have Murat Ates join us on the show. Murat's got a couple really interesting pieces in The Athletic. And we're going to talk. Now, this could be wasted breath, but Murat does have a very interesting piece in The Athletic on offer sheet possibilities and the type of players that might be available to offer sheet, the cost, how and why it might work. So going to be really interesting, as it always is, with Murat, who's going to join us. We've got an awesome segment coming up. Now, some of you may remember a couple years ago on one of our Sport Manitoba segments, we were talking about the Manitoba Summer Games, and we went out and connected with some of the people in Dauphin that were putting on the event. And one of the things that was thought to be a legacy project was this trail system that they'd been building for mountain biking. Well, 2 years later, it is established. It is a jewel of the province. We're going to head out there with our friends at Travel Manitoba and find out a little bit more about what has become of that and let you know a little bit more about checking it out over the course of the summer, as well as planned expansion. We're going to do that. Brian Munz. It's been a minute since we've been talking to Munzy. Munzy, of course, is with Golf Manitoba. Big news for a Manitoba female making her professional debut coming up. Lots of Golf Manitoba events for coming up on the calendar, which we'll find out from Munz. So it'll be good to catch up with Brian. And before the end of the program, I was not aware that there was a Manitoba Cornhole Association. I was also not aware there's a Manitoba Cornhole Championships. It's this weekend. They're taking over the Heather Curling Club. So I'll have a little fun with Jeff Munday later on the program, and he can fill us in on what's coming up for the cornholers of Manitoba coming up on the weekend. But busy show. Great to have you all with us. Shout out to all you podcast listeners. Welcome to everyone on YouTube. Hit that thumbs up button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you haven't already. And a huge thanks to our friends and our wonderful sponsors that make the show happen each and every day. Of course, our partners at Coolbet Canada, Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports, Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, the Tri-Hospital Lottery. Get those tickets now, trihospitaldream.com. Manitoba Battery. Congratulations to our friends at Manitoba Battery, longtime sponsors of ours. They're on board as a big partner of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So, after a down season with a couple of outages, great to know that the Blue Bombers are powered by Manitoba Battery this year. Cannot wait to get out to the stadium. And speaking of the stadium, Manitoba Battery has hooked us up with some tickets for the preseason game next week on Friday that we'll be giving out next week. But we'll let you know a little later on today on the program as to how you can enter to potentially win those tickets for your first glance at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Taylor Elgersma, courtesy of Manitoba Battery. Breezy Bend, Royal Sports, Boston Pizza, Little Brown Jug, Travel Manitoba, the Gold Eyes of Assiniboia Downs, Rolly's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center, and we will get to a why not question of the day for Not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray. By the way, congrats to the Gold Eyes, who won their first game of the season yesterday after a tough one at the ballpark in the home opener and a tough opening week in Milwaukee. But they are on the board with their first win of the season, actually playing right now. Early game today with a lot of the school kids in. So we'll keep you up to date on that a little bit later on. Fish in on the weekend. Let's get her going. Michael Remis, what's up?
Man, I'm so fired up today from Canada's win. Suck it, Norway. Canada's win over Norway in hockey at the Worlds. Just when you thought it would have been a national disaster, Canada losing to Norway. Macklin Celebrini floats one from the blue line. Beautiful tip in by Ryan O'Reilly, which sets the stage for Mark Scheifele, who'd already had 2 goals and 1 assist. Velarde with 1 goal, 1 assist. Scheifele on the ice in overtime to start with Bouchard and Celebrini. 2 guys left off Canada's Olympic team, getting it done. Against Norway at the Worlds was Bouchard to Scheifele. And in the net, beautiful for the hat trick. Mark Scheifele, he hadn't scored yet and had just had a breakout game. You knew it was coming.
Yeah, well, okay, there's a couple sides to this coin. My first reaction is, what the hell were we doing in overtime against Norway? But it's weird. This doesn't seem to happen in any other international competitions, but at the Worlds, we often find ourselves in these dogfights with teams that, are 4.5 goal underdogs to Canada. And inevitably, there's been some really tough losses in the past. We don't need to go through previous World Championships disappointments, but games that you thought Canada could not possibly lose with the roster that they had, that they do. So the fact that they were able to avoid that loss, great. They maintained their spot at the top of the group. But for the Jets, this was a big one. Obviously, Gabe Velarde getting a goal and an assist, but Mark Scheifele with the Hattie and the winner. And man, you knew that Scheifele was locked in today. The goal that he scored in his first of 3, getting hauled down was, vintage Scheifele. And then to score the winner in OT, this is always a great experience for the guys that decide to take up the opportunity and represent their country. But I do think that with Mark, I think he was feeling a little bit coming into this game because he hadn't been scoring. And, obviously he had the near miss of the Olympic team, which I think he was really trying to come out and make a statement. But, as Tristan Rivers said, got to feel good to know that you're going out over the boards with a guy like Sidney Crosby or Macklin Celebrini in overtime, and he got it done today. So a big day for a couple of the Winnipeg Jets out at the World Championships, and they avoid what would have been, frankly, a bit of an embarrassing loss. No offense, Norway, at the Worlds to get things going today.
Yeah, and Canada really outshot Norway in this one, 42-19. Cam Talbot, maybe not his best game, allowing 5 on 19 shots, but hey, they battled. And for Mark Scheifele, started off on the line with Crosby and Celebrini, a lot of pressure there, hadn't produced a lot of results. Porter Martone got the opportunity there today, and Scheifele he's played the last couple games with Velarde and Rob Thomas. Thomas centering that one, and Velarde was on the right today, Scheifele on the left, and settled in for a nice 4-point night, and nice to see Velarde in front, putting home a Scheifele rebound. And, when it was crunch time in the final minutes, they needed that tying goal. They put on Scheifele with Crosby and Celebrini for their scoreline. They were on with the net empty as well at the end to tie it. And I was celebrating pretty hard, Huss. Didn't want to be on talking about, Mark Scheifele having a great game in a loss to Norway, but I think Canada's played pretty well. They've got a real stacked team here and good chance to medal here at the Worlds.
Love it. The you know what? I think the series is the tournament's going to move on. I think we got Slovenia tomorrow.
Tomorrow morning, yep.
I know it was early and we've just sort of been saying, oh, Canada won. But here's the scenarios for the rest of the way, or their situation. They're on the top of the group. They've got 3 wins and an overtime win. You've got Slovenia. I know at Coolbet, they're like a minus 10,000 favorite, so that should be a win. But again, take that for what it's worth. There was probably a similar number for Norway today. But it'll be a game that they'll be heavily favored in and should win. They've already beaten the Swedes. Their next game after that is against Slovakia. And the Slovaks right now sit in third. They're 2 wins, 1 overtime win. And they are coming up next against the Czechs. And the Czechs have been very good so far. The Czechs are 3 wins and an overtime loss so far. So they're just 1 point behind Canada in the there you can see the standings if you're with us on YouTube. After that, as I said, they got Slovakia. They have the Czechs. And I believe that will finish the round robin for Team Canada. So they're looking to stay on top of the standings of their group with the Czechs, the Slovaks, and Norway. Sweden, interestingly enough, right now in 5th. But they've already played Canada. I believe they played the Czechs. They get like Norway, Slovakia. So I would expect to see the Swedes and potential 8th overall pick Viggo Bjork coming up over the next bit. The Swiss have been amazing so far. They've been crushing teams. They're in first place in Group A, tied with the Finns, Austria, and the USA, the other teams over there in the World Championship. But moving forward, that next game for Canada against the Slovaks is the 22nd of May. That is tomorrow, and that'll be another 9:20 a.m. game. So you can plan to get up there, check it out, and we will talk about it tomorrow on our edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk. Remo, before we move over to last night's game in the National Hockey League, did you see the premier of our province dropping the Instagram reel? Great social media work, Wob, about what to do with the potential time change or lack thereof moving forward. It's been a while since I fully filled out a survey today, but I did it.
I'm all about the time change. Has have a vested interest. It's could affect our schedules in terms of sports watching, and you're seeing BC eliminate the time change, move to daylight permanently. I think Alberta is doing that as well, and Manitoba is exploring that, and they put out a survey to get your opinion, what you think, letting you know about the health benefits of not having a time change, as now we change the clocks, you spring forward in March and move back in the fall, you fall back. And it's people find it confusing. It, messes up your sleep. I don't agree with all of that, but that's what the science says. And they're putting out a time change, so they want your opinion. And I filled it out as well, and it could have a huge impact on what time we watch sports at.
Okay, I was on Lock Shop yesterday with Awanik, and we were talking about this, and I had no idea that this was coming from Wob. And, he was telling me that, there's all this science that says, like, daylight savings is actually not as good. And I'm like, dude, you're gaslighting me with a bunch of fear mongering. I want the long days and nights in the summer. Well, I saw this today, and apparently there's like more strokes. Now, I didn't know whether they were associating that with daylight savings or with the changing of the times.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, I'll take my chances. I want to maintain, I don't care if it gets lighter later in winter. Like, the winter's already a write-off. It's getting dark super early. We don't get a lot of sun. We deal with it. What I do want to maintain, my number one priority, at least myself, is making sure we max out these days in the summer. There's nothing better than really right now for the next 2 months. I mean, we're getting sunsets after 9 p.m. You can finish work at 5 or 5:30 and tee off around 6 p.m. and probably get 18 holes in if you don't screw around on the course. Like, to me, literally my favorite time of year is these 2 months, and a big part of that is just how amazing the evenings are. And I also don't really care to have it get light at 4:45 a.m. So I'm in on not changing it and staying with daylight savings, and that would keep us 2 hours from Pacific, 1 hour from Mountain Time the entire year, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, engagemb.ca. You can vote the future of time change in Manitoba. And like I don't like that everyone is going rogue and doing their own thing. I think this needs to be a coordinated effort in North America to keep it. All I want, NHL evening games start at 6 p.m., late games start at 9 p.m., NFL noon starts for the early games, the 3:15, 3:20, 3:30 starts for the late games. I don't want to have 5 o'clock games starting. I'm not doing it, Huss. That's what
I'm with you.
But so if you change, I guess, daylight, and science will say our body's natural rhythm is standard time, and we should be on standard time. But that sucks.
Daylight will become standard time. It'll be standard for us.
We want the daylight for the summer, which I fully agree. We need to take advantage, and I agree with you. Winter is a write-off. I just want to do what everyone else does. I don't want to be one of those weirdo rogue provinces. I don't want things starting at different times, different parts.
Why don't we just say a half-hour time change? That is the craziest way. I don't know how. Like, I remember, coming up, 6 o'clock Central, 8:30 in Newfoundland. Yeah. That was always the most bizarre thing. I'm joking when I say that. You know what? I think it's poll time. It is poll time right now on somewhat, but you're right. It is definitely sports related. We want noon kickoffs for NFL. Living as sports fans, we have the privilege of living in the Central Time Zone.
Yeah,
we need to maintain the greatness of the Central Time Zone. That's really what it comes down to. And tea times being able to be dropped at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the summer and still get 18 in. So why not question of the day for Not AutoCorp at Waverly and McGillivray? These are the options, Remo. Should we keep it as it is and keep changing the clocks twice a year? Should we stay 12 months a year on standard time? Or 12 months a year on daylight savings time where we're at right now? Let us know in the chat, and please answer the poll. There's the why not question of the day for Not AutoCorp at Waverly and McGillivray. Now, we're going to talk Bombers in a couple minutes with Darren Bauming. Looking forward to that. But, Reem, the Vegas Golden Knights are up 1-0 after going into Denver and beating the Colorado Avalanche. I thought Nathan McKinnon looked frustrated for a good part of the game last night. Man, did the Avs look like they missed Cale Makar. And what can you say about Vegas? Mitch Marner, Dorofeyev, Panks, Brett Howden, again with the big goal. Carter Hart playing well in net. Just an absolutely huge win for Vegas. I think a lot of people didn't give them a chance in this series, which was maybe a little foolish. They announced that this is not going to be a cakewalk for the Colorado Avalanche to get back to the Cup final.
Yeah, I thought, first of all, these are two teams with recent Cup wins. This is a real heavyweight battle.
Big time.
Maybe not quite like Chicago, LA in mid 2010s, but that kind of caliber of teams where you have a lot of superstar players. And I agree with you. I wasn't giving Vegas as much of a chance as I should have. This Cale Makar injury, huge. Mark Stone injury, pretty big as well, but they're able to mitigate that. And Carter Hart was exceptional last night. But we've talked here about being tough to watch Nikolai Ehlers do his thing for Carolina. How about Toronto watching Mitch Marner lead the playoffs in points, and they're sitting there being like, is this a Toronto problem where he goes to Vegas and now he's our number one Conn Smythe contender?
Mr. Playoffs.
And also
a Conn Smythe for Marner would just be the funniest thing of all time. Like a Cup win and a Conn Smythe in the first year after he leaves Toronto. Like Brian Hayes yesterday, I saw saying, what's going to happen we're Leaf fans. This you need to prepare yourself for this. A cup final of Montreal against Vegas, and Mitch Marner coming back to Muskoka this summer with the cup and the Conn Smythe Trophy. It just seems like it's destined to happen.
The other take that I saw, like one guy post, but I had to laugh. Austin Matthews just had a career worst season, 27 goals, 53 points. They're like, is Austin Matthews a Mitch Marner merchant where he just sat there and got all the passes? I mean, people in Toronto, and this is one guy on X, but they're losing their minds with Marner. So credit to Vegas. A very entertaining game. Colorado tried to make it close at the end, and they did, but not quite good enough. And Vegas now in the driver's seat in the West Final as the East Final kicks off tonight.
Yeah, East Final tonight. We'll talk about it as well coming up with Murat and when we get into the Coolbet lines. Listen, just before we get to our pal Darren Bauming, we should mention, and this kind of came out yesterday, Remo, lots of excitement about the upcoming draft. Friday, June 26th at Canada Life Centre, the Winnipeg Jets are putting on a draft party, and fans are invited to celebrate the Jets' number 8 pick at the 2026 draft party at Canada Life Centre. It was funny. One of our great listeners, I think it was Owen, was hitting us up on Twitter going, oh, does this sort of tell you that there's no way that they'll trade the pick if they're having a draft party? Well, no, not really. I mean, I will say that, I think that the marketing department and the general managers have two very different jobs. The marketing department has to move forward with the information they have, and right now, that's the Jets are on the clock at number 8. It's an exciting time for fans. Could they still trade the pick? Absolutely. Would that take a bit of the juice out of a draft party? Yes, it would. Sometimes, if any time, those things happen closer to the actual pick when you realize who's available and what the story is. But I will say this: it's $20. And they've actually put together a pretty good little slate of features for the event. $20 a ticket, including pop, water, or a beer, a meal, and a 2026 NHL draft souvenir. There's an exclusive season ticket member pre-sale that's on right now. So if you have season tickets, I think you get a discounted rate if you want to get those. So jump on those. And for fans of the Jets that don't have seasons, that don't already have the early in, the tickets go on sale tomorrow. Everyone in attendance is going to be entered into grand prize draws for 2 tickets to the Heritage Classic or 2 tickets to the alumni game. There'll be DJs, the Jets gear pop-up, giveaways through the night, including merch and event tickets. They'll have food and beverages available there as well. And I think, was it you that were telling me that, oh yeah, Colby Barlow, Braden Yeager, and Sasha Boumedienne, the 3 recent first rounders of the Winnipeg Jets, will all be there signing in autographs and participating in a hot stove. So we'll see what the general manager and the hockey ops team does, but I will tell you that I think the marketing team has done a pretty darn good job of putting together what should be a fun night for Jet fans, regardless of what happens with the pick.
Yeah, that was a fun message last night on X from listener Owen, who said, hey, does this mean they're keeping the pick because they're having this awesome draft party? And I don't think the marketing department and the hockey ops department are that closely aligned there, but I just thought it sounded like a great party. And credit to the Jets. Forgot to mention those former first rounders plus Jets alumni and friends will be at the event signing autographs. They put together this alumni and friends, like local, former NHLers who come and play in events or take part, representing the Winnipeg Jets at functions. So I think that's pretty cool. Again, I said my son is getting into hockey. He's watching the recaps in the morning, watching past Jets playoffs. This is the type of thing I would love to take him out to.
Yeah, well, you should do that. Get your tickets today. Full on sale tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. And again, and listen, if they did trade the pick, I'll tell you what. Now, if they trade the pick a week before the draft, there's no doubt that takes a bit of the juice away from the event without making the pick. But obviously, they've got other programming for it, and everyone will be interested in what happens at the draft. I have said it a number of times, I don't want them to trade the pick. I want them to keep the pick and make the pick. But if they did trade that pick, there'd be a pretty big pop at the draft party when Gary Bettman goes up, we have a trade to announce, and then, you find out what the team is doing. So lots of excitement around the draft. We'll be all over it here on Winnipeg Sports Talk in the coming weeks before we get to the weekend in the first round on Friday, June 26th. But if you do want tickets for that event, they're on sale tomorrow morning at 10 p.m. We're going to talk some Bombers with the Bomber himself, Darren Bauming, coming up in just a minute. Maybe get into a little Sea Bears as well. I know he's all fired up for that season. And nice start, although a tough one. Almost went 3-0 the other day. But hey, do want to mention, folks, to get your tickets now, if you haven't already, for the Tri-Hospital Lottery. You have until Friday at midnight to get your tickets to make sure you're in for the summer bonus. 11 winners of worth over $95,000, including one winner's going to pick between a Land Rover, a beautiful brand new Mercedes-Benz GLC, $50,000 travel voucher, and $20,000 cash, or $62,500 cash. 10 more winners of either $1,500 or a $2,000 shopping spree at St. Vital Polo Park or the Outlet Collection. But you won't just be in for the summer bonus. You'll be in for all of the early bird prizes, a record number of early bird prizes, 26 winners, prizes worth over $250,000. And then, of course, you're also going to be in for the biggest grand prize ever, one of 6 dream home packages worth $1.7 million each, or the cash prize take home, tax-free, $1.35 million. Now, it is all in support of the incredible work of the Health Sciences Center, the St. Boniface Hospital, the HSC Children's Hospital. The money all goes to important initiatives right here in Manitoba. You can be an instant millionaire. The earlier you buy, the more you can win. And get your tickets today. You can pick them up in person at Red River Co-op locations or London Drugs. But the best place to do is just go online, tryhospitaldream.com. Get your tickets today. You got 1 hour, 1 day, and 10 hours as we go live right now. 10 and a half hours in 1 day to get your tickets. Friday midnight, the deadline for the summer bonus for the Tri-Hospital Dream Lottery. Do want to thank our friends at Clean Line. They're ready for the summer. Well, they're ready to take care of you and help you out 365 days a year. Of course, Clean Line Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical is your most trusted plumbers with over 40 years of fast responses, lasting results, and 24/7 emergency services across all of Winnipeg. You can head over to cleanline.ca and schedule an appointment. But the number you want to write down and make sure you have it in your phone in case you need it is this: 204-500-2001. 24/7 emergency services from our friends at Clean Line. You see Adam Lowry there. He's got the back of his teammates for the Winnipeg Jets. Clean Line has yours every single day of the year with 24/7 emergency services. If you need it, again, online, cleanline.ca. Our friends at Manitoba Battery are very excited about the upcoming Winnipeg Blue Bombers season because the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are powered by Manitoba Battery. Just got off the horn with Nick and the gang over at Manitoba Battery, and they are so excited to be teaming up with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And as part of that, they'll be having some great promos all year. Now, if you go right now to Manitoba Battery, you'll see the big sale they've got on the deep cycle batteries. $79.99, the in-season inventory blowout with Core Exchange on the DC-24 and the DC-27. These reduced prices are valid until May 31st or while supplies last. And if you pop in and see them in store on Logan Avenue or on the south side of Dover Court Drive, throughout the Blue Bomber season. When you pop in and shop at Manitoba Battery, you'll have chances to win tickets. Now, we're actually going to give you your first chance to see the new look Winnipeg Blue Bombers and Taylor Elgersma with a preseason contest. We'll fill you in later on. We'll get that set up at winnipegsportstalk.com/contest to get in. And next Wednesday, Remo and Connor will be announcing the winner. We've got a couple pairs courtesy of Manitoba Battery, corporate sponsor of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, to send a couple WST listeners to get the first glimpse of the Bombers this year. Again, Manitoba Battery, your local option, the best prices in town, period, beating the pants off the big box stores, and the best in customer service. If you need batteries for a boat, an ATV, a bike, a motorcycle, RV, you name it, Manitoba Battery has it, and they have it at the best price in town. You can shop local while you're getting it. They'll also deliver to you citywide inside the perimeter if you need. Check them out by giving them a call or ordering online at manitobabattery.com, powering your Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And hey, speaking of powering, you got to power some moves this summer. I know a lot of people will be moving from point A to point B. If you do have a move, do not hesitate to pick up the phone or get online and hook up with our friends at Rolly's Transfer, the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba, now into their 7th decade, taking care of Manitobans with their moves and the white glove service that they've been famous for now for over 60 years. Head on over to Rollies.com for all the information about Rollies, and you can click on Request an Estimate. Use that promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies for WST listeners. Then let them know when and where you're moving, what needs to be moved. Friendly staff at Rollies will turn it around quickly with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment that they have been famous for now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, Rollies Transfer. Check them out today online at Rollies.com. All right, busy with the Sea Bears. Looking forward to Bomber season. Let's get Darren Bauming back in here. DB, what is up, man? It's been too long. How are you?
Darren, you got to unmute yourself. There you go.
There we go. I was muted because I was listening closely during the earlier parts of the show. But, yeah, just chilling at home right now, Hustler. You know, camp's a grind for the players, for the media, for everybody. But obviously excited about that. Been working hard with the Winnipeg Sea Bears. We had rehearsals all week and then had our home opener last week. Team looks good. So busy times, exciting times, but great to be on with you the first time in 2026. Let's go.
Yeah, no doubt. I know Bonfire getting ready for another big season. The Bombers are. I mean, we are as well. I mean, the only thing that's been missing is some legitimate spring weather, but I think that complaint will be behind us very quickly. It looks like next week's going to be great, and it looks like we'll have some beautiful weather for the first game of the season, the preseason game, I guess a week Friday down at Princess Auto Stadium. But let me start off with the question I think everyone's been talking about when they get out and see the Winnipeg Blue Bombers first. Taylor Elgersma, I mean, hard not to just notice him because of what a specimen the guy is, but could this guy be the next one? He's all reports are that he's had a pretty strong camp and looks like the real deal.
Hard not to notice him. Hard not to be impressed when you watch him. Look, okay, I'll cut right to it. This is a Canadian kid, and everyone's going to be like, okay, he played at Wilfrid Laurier University in youth sports in Canada. And yeah, he had, a training camp with the Green Bay Packers, but it's a Canadian guy. Like, he's not Nathan Rourke. No, he's not Nathan Rourke. He's not that type of quarterback. He's more of a pocket guy. But I'll say this with a lot of confidence. This guy is going to be a very good quarterback in the CFL. I think he has all of the tools. And while he is not somebody that's, going to run around like Nathan Rourke and move the pocket, he's able to do that. He has excellent feet, very smart from what I'm told. And he's able to make every single throw on the field. What is impressive about that is this is a guy that's never played pro football, just been in NFL workouts and then that camp with the Packers. But the fact that he grew up playing this game, played his college football in the Canadian system, he can make that long throw to the wide side of the field. And what's impressed me the most about his arm, Hustler, is his touch. He's able to put excellent touch on his passes. He can rifle it. He has superb arm strength, but it's the touch when he wants to take a little bit off, place it in a window, get it over the linebackers, whatever the situation might be. He can make all of those throws. A year under Zach Collaros, maybe more, this guy's going to be a player. We were already having those debates amongst the media at training camp. Is he a superstar? Is he a Cody Fajardo caliber quarterback, can win a Grey Cup and nobody expects him to be an upper echelon elite player? Or is he, not capable of that? I think he is the former of all those things. I think he can be a star, a top quarterback in the CFL.
You know what? And you mentioned Nathan Rourke before, and I'll give him a ton of credit because he's completely changed, I think, the general outlook of average football fans of what Canadian quarterbacks can be. And it was going to take one. But, Darren, we remember for a long time, these guys would not even get a look. I mean, to be honest, and granted, it's kind of happened right now with Jackson Tuchinski, but you're taking the best quarterbacks of U Sports football, say, hey, we think you're a hell of a football player. Are you interested in the Canadian Football League? Great. We're going to move you to receiver. Yeah. We're going to play you elsewhere. And listen, for a lot of guys, that was the only way that they were going to make it. But there has been some incredible Canadian quarterbacks over the years that maybe didn't get that opportunity. But now with the training, how far much further along these athletes are, the coaching that they're getting, the facilities at many of the U Sports programs, there are some guys that deserve a shot, and Nathan Rourke has come in and I think blown away everybody's expectations about what a guy with the national passport can do in the Canadian Football League. And I think the timing for Elgersma is perfect. I understand why, as anyone would, trying to make the most he can, exhausting his NFL opportunities. But from all accounts, he did what he did. He's now here. He's excited to start his professional career. And on the field right now, even if a lot of people thought that this would just be sort of a sit back and learn year, which probably majority of it will be, he's absolutely put himself into the conversation to be next man up after Zach Collaros.
So the Bombers have a handful of quarterbacks in camp, right? It was just today, Mike O'Shea talked about Peyton Thorne, a guy that played at Michigan State and Auburn, like super high pedigree guy. He was placed on the suspended list. He's left the team, whether that's an opportunity outside of football or whatever. That decision's a little bit easier for them right now, but you have a 3-year backup in veteran Terry Wilson, and you have the 2025 United Football League MVP, coincidentally with the same team, the Birmingham Stallions, as Taylor Elgersma was with before joining the Blue Bombers. And it's really between those two guys, there's 3 guys. It's Terry Wilson and it's Bryce Perkins, the UFL MVP, kind of fighting for that spot. They're not going to put Taylor Elgersma on the practice roster. Another team will sign him and put him on their active roster and say, you're our guy. So they can't do that. So it's really competing for that second spot. And if it's Terry Wilson or if it's Bryce Perkins, I'll say this again with a lot of confidence because I've been blown away. People out there, the cynics can say, oh, this is media hype. They're hyping up the Canadian kid. They said the same things about Nathan Rourke and the talk around him when he entered the league kind of as a protege to Michael Riley with the BC Lions. As of right now, Taylor Elgersma is the second best quarterback the Blue Bombers have. He is the second best quarterback they have. Zach Collaros is QB1, and I don't think they're going to push Taylor Elgersma into a playing opportunity before it's absolutely warranted. I think that can be a dangerous thing for the mental of a young player. But right now, it's kind of a competition for those supporting roles. I know fans want Taylor Elgersma to play this year. Best case scenario is he does not take any meaningful snaps. Collaros stays healthy and the offense is at its highest potential under a new offensive coordinator in Tommy Condell. But if the team has to look towards a game or more of no Zach Collaros, I think Taylor Elgersma, if he's got the mental part of the pro game down, he's easily somebody who could be tapped on the shoulder to start.
Well, I agree with you 100% on this because it's unique in a couple ways. First of all, and listen, with all due respect to Terry Wilson, who's been a quality, short yardage guy,
Yep.
they've done everything to avoid putting him in. So, I don't believe that the coaching staff has a lot of confidence that Terry Wilson's a guy that's going to go out and win them football games. Yep. Now, it's all about readiness and preparation and come in. And usually you bring in quarterbacks and there's a big learning curve. This guy has only played 3-down football. Now, granted, he's been trying to get used to and he's been practicing and doing all the 4-down stuff lately, but he is a Canadian football player. He is a quarterback that has played all of his games in 3-down football. So I guess my theory is that he's a lot more Canadian football ready as opposed to learning all the intricacies, the ins and outs of the wide field and the extra player and all of that. So he is sort of a leg up of a guy coming in that I think would be closer to being that number 2. And you're exactly right. Best case scenario for the Bombers is they go out, Zach plays his ass off, has a great season. Hopefully there'll be some garbage time reps that you can get him in. And hey, the team's up big time, 8, take a seat. Let's see the kid get out there. But a strong year for the team, a strong year for Zach Collaros, and a great year being an understudy from a guy that has done it all in this league, I think leads to the most optimism we had at that quarterback position for the next one in a really, really long time. Because, realistically, you have to go back so long to look at a quarterback for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers that was a guy that they just brought up, nurtured, and created themselves. And frankly, in the CFL, with the short contracts, usually you need a guy who's the best guy available. The position is too important not to put the resources into it. And I'll tell you what, if you get a player out of Elgersma on his rookie deal at any point over the course of the term, I believe the 3 years,
yep.
What that allows you to do elsewhere on the roster under the cap situation is pretty intriguing as well. I could talk quarterback and Elgersma the whole time, but let me ask you this defensive side of the football. Just thoughts on the changes to the D, the loss of Javon Santos-Knox, which was, I think, unfortunate, certainly from a personal level. Was such a great guy to deal with. People were excited to have him back. Does seem like a bit of a strength of the team, but overall, how's the defense been looking, and any interesting positional battles or guys that have stood out so far when you've been down at Princess Auto?
Well, I'll answer that in 2 parts. First, players for fans to watch through these preseason games, and they're available on CFL Plus. None of them are on TSN, but either way, we'll break them down in our post game as we always do with myself and Schnitzy on Bonfire. But let's start with some players that are jumping off the page. James Vaughters moved on in free agency. So who's on the other side of the D line of Willie Jefferson? Deshaun Dixon. He was on the team late last year, part of that practice roster expansion, got into a game or two. This guy is impressive. He could be the pillar of this edge rush on the Blue Bombers defense for a long, long time. Great speed, not super long like Willie J, but able to gain an edge. I really like Deshaun Dixon. He wears number 90. Jake Serezna, free agent signing the Blue Bombers made this offseason. I freaking love this guy, and it's because Chris Walby told me how much of a fan he is of Jake Serezna. The guy is pure motor. He just goes and goes and goes, putting him next to Cameron Lawson, the Canadian, at defensive tackle on the interior. I think Winnipeg's pass rush, look, it needs to be, but I think it will definitely be better than, a little bit of an underwhelming performance in 2025. On the, back end, it's the same guys. They're moving lots of guys around. Warren Burrell could be the new starting corner opposite the free agent veteran Jonathan Moxey that the team signed. I'm still blown away by Evan Holm, Dietrich Nichols. Those guys are just so good. Reddick Cramdy looking like he's moving from the dime, that strong side linebacker spot, to safety. I think that's even a better spot for him. He's so smart. He hits so hard and rangy. He's able to get around the field, so a good spot for him there. But let's talk about the linebacking core. And this is the craziest thing, Hustler, is that fans will ask me, whether it's, on social media or on the street, like, do we know who the starting 12 is in this Jordan Younger Blue Bombers defense? There is no starting 12. This is such a multiple look, different personnel package defense. It blows my mind. And we saw it last year too. Sometimes they'll have 2 defensive linemen and 5 linebackers. Sometimes they'll throw 1 or even 2 extra defensive backs. So it's guys like Michael Griffin II, who's been on the team for a couple years. It's guys like linebacker, pardon me, Hustler. So many guys on the list.
Yeah, dude, the camp roster, you don't even get a yellow card, dude. It is so hard to react. And sometimes there's guys wearing the same numbers out there. So
it's it's Jaden Woodby, it's Michael Ayers, it's Michael Griffin. And with Javan Santos-Knox, you got Tony Jones and Kyrie Wilson in the linebacking core. Wilson, coming off his best season, played all 18 games, was very good. Tony Jones, I think, was Winnipeg's best defensive player last year, had well over 100 tackles. The guy's all over the place. But so many personnel packages, you never know if Winnipeg is going big, if they're going small, if they're going to rush the quarterback, if they're going to drop into coverage and do more of a coverage style blitz, if you will. Winnipeg's defense is playing a very modern style of football under defensive coordinator Jordan Younger. It's multiple opposing offenses will not know what they're doing based on who's on the field. And frankly, you won't even know who's on the field until you're ready to snap the football. It's pretty wild to watch in camp.
Yeah, well, it's going to be an interesting week. And again, we'll wait till next Friday to get out to Princess Auto Stadium for the first time this season, preseason action. Again, our friends at Manitoba Battery, we're going to do a contest. We got a couple pairs of tickets to give away for that, so you can enter to that. We'll give you details on how to enter, and we'll give those away next Wednesday on the program for the Friday game. And then we're back. Hey, just before we go, because again, we'll have plenty of time to talk about the upcoming season before the home opener on the 11th of June at Princess Auto Stadium. Nice little start for the Sea Bears. Fun run. Although, to be honest, probably should be talking about a 3-0 team. We watched the end of that earlier this week, but Teddy Allen's back. The squad's there. The fans are back. When are you back behind the mic downtown?
Yeah, back behind the mic this year during that home opener. Place was lit. We had almost 9,000 fans there, leading the league in that department. Look, the Winnipeg Sea Bears, not only is it like a super fun, entertaining game to go to, like there's always something fun to do there. The team this year is absolutely stacked. Like you add Teddy Allen to a ton of the other guys that they've brought in this year, new head coach and general manager Mike Rainbow of the University of Winnipeg Westman, a Brandon guy, and assistant general manager Alex Campbell. Guys will remember him for being the three-point machine he was as a player for the Sea Bears. They brought in a ton of very good basketball players. They're 7-8 deep. They could start 8 different guys. The Sea Bears are going to make a run this year. Their next home game on Friday, Hustler, playing the back-to-back CEBL champion Niagara River Lions. And just wait for Xavier Moon to join this team. They signed him as a free agent. He's finishing up playoffs in Russia right now. This guy is a 3-time CEBL champ, 2-time league MVP. He's going to be an addition to Teddy Allen and the deep talent that they have. The Sea Bears are built for a championship this year.
Get out there to the rink and see the team do what they do and hear DB do what he do. You have a great one, my friend. I'll look forward to seeing you out at Princess Auto Stadium and at Sea Bears games over the course of this summer. Let's do this soon.
Sea Bears summer, baby. Let's go.
Right on. There's Darren Bauming, Bonfire Sports. He and our pal Zach Schnitzer post-game after every Winnipeg Blue Bomber game. We're going to get to some hockey. Murat Ates is on deck. Some real interesting stuff in the Athletic lately. Can't wait to talk to him about. But, of course, we just finished talking Bombers. All our Bomber reports brought to you by Princess Auto, proud sponsors of the Bombers and their home Princess Auto Stadium. Cannot wait to get out there for another great summer of Blue Bomber football. In the meantime, though, you got things to do. You got projects. You got ideas. Princess Auto's there for you. The best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the projects on your list. Start something new is waiting for you at Princess Auto. Pop by and see them. Panet Road, Portage Avenue West, Brandon, or shop online 24/7, 365 over at princessauto.com. Well, the nice weather is just about here. Derminator and the gang at Chud's Power Sports are ready for summer. Head over to chudspowersports.com and start getting your ideas ready of how you can dominate summer. The best in new inventory, including motorcycles, ATVs, side-by-sides, golf carts, boats and outboard motors, RVs, off-road vehicles, Argos, you name it. Chud's has it, and they've got the best prices in town, amazing financing options, and the most experienced staff in the game, as they've been doing it for 80 years. Make the drive out and see the gang at the corner of Highway 8 and 231 in Gimli, or check out their new inventory, their used inventory, and so much more today online at chudspowersports.com. Cooking up a couple beauty power poles as well for you. So stay tuned for that. All our power poles brought to you by Chud's Power Sports on the program. Hey, Mark Scheifele had a big smile on his face today after the hat trick in the World Championships. Speaking of smiles, if you need to get that smile taken care of, or just looking for a great, reputed, long-term home for you and your family for all of your dental services, lean on our good friend Dr. Terry and the wonderful people at St. Vital Dental Center with their wonderful new home at 167 St. Anne's. Convenient free parking in the back of the building with state-of-the-art equipment and, of course, a long history of serving generations of Manitobans. Go to stvitaldental.ca. You can make an appointment to pop down and see them. They'll accept clients from 6 months to 99 plus, and of course have a full array of dental services, everything you could possibly need, checkups, cleanings, to things like dental implants. Dr. Terry and the gang does it all. Again, St. Vital Dental Center on St. Anne's Road. Make an appointment today at stvitaldental.ca. And hey, just before we bring in Murat, I had a great chat with our good friend Andrew from Boston Pizza yesterday. I got to tell you, the guys at BP, they are so fired up for the World Cup. BP is going to be your World Cup headquarters, and we're going to be counting down the 12 days of the World coming to Canada starting in June with some great giveaways from Boston Pizza for the World Cup. They'll have all the games on. They'll do some big events around the Canada games at your local Boston Pizza. There's going to be food promos. There's going to be great prizes. They've teamed up with the guys at Royal Sports, which is your World Cup headquarters. So right now, we'll continue rocking the Stanley Cup playoffs and more at Boston Pizza in the sports bars. But make your plan to get together with your gang. Maybe take a couple days off for the World Cup and make Boston Pizza your World Cup headquarters. Let's talk some hockey right now. Murat Ates of The Athletic joins us now. Murat, how are you, my friend? Great to have you back on the program.
Hey, I am doing well. Life is good. The baby's sleeping, eating. We're having a nice time. And yeah, just fully kicking it in off-season mode, still writing. You know it. I know that you said that you've been reading what we got at The Athletic. So it is a nice time to be Murat.
You know what? I'll say this. I mean, obviously, my first stop is under the Jets tab when I go to The Athletic. But I mean, I have been loving the Stanley Cup coverage. And, you know, now that we're getting into NFL season right around the corner, you know, I've got my Chief tab up. I mean, there's just so much good stuff. I mean, it is my favorite subscription, but it all starts with you. And, you know, you've hit a number of interesting off-season topics that, you know, we've certainly talked about here. The one that we haven't talked about very much, and I guess part of the reason why we haven't talked about it much is because it never really seems to happen, or when it does, it's very rare, and that is offer sheets. But you make a very interesting case in a recent article in The Athletic that in the predicament the Winnipeg Jets are in, and in the changing cap world, and with different teams at very different places with different urgencies to have cap space available, particularly to sign top younger players, there could be some opportunity in that for a team like the Winnipeg Jets with where they are at. I mean, big picture, fill people in on your synopsis on offer sheets in general and how that might be a tool that hadn't been used before with the Winnipeg Jets to potentially get them a little closer to where they want to be.
Yeah, it's a tool that seldom gets used. We know that. But Winnipeg is in a situation where it's trying to extend a window to win around a core group of players who are actually really good, no matter what the standings say, in terms of Connor Hellebuck and Mark Scheifele and his hat trick, Josh Morrissey, and Kyle Connor. That's a pretty darn good starting point. There's not a lot of secondary stars on this team, or like stars that can push into the second and third lines. And Winnipeg has decided, or at least I believe they've decided, I believe that this is a fact, that they're going to continue to try to win. They're going to try to develop a playoff spot, keep Hellebuck and all parties happy, and then this is the chapter that they're in. So how are they going to do that, Huss? And how are they going to suddenly win a blockbuster trade that we can't quite imagine? Who would be going out if they made that trade? Are they suddenly going to become a UFA destination for this summer's unrestricted free agency class, which has almost, I don't want to say no one in it, but there's not a lot of top end talent, and the same few players will get targeted by so many teams. They're going to be very expensive. So then you start to consider offer sheets. And the idea of signing a restricted free agent from another team, that team would have the right to match, of course, based on how much money there is. There's compensation you give back in terms of draft picks. The hardcores here, they know the deal, or at least that's the basic framework of it. There's some really good reasons why an offer sheet is an insane idea, especially this summer with a $104 million cap. Teams have been capped crunch in recent seasons, and we haven't seen a flurry of offer sheet activity. So now that the cap's going up, giving them some breathing room, there's really only a few teams that you can sort of begin to target and say, hey, they might be in tough. You can find some cap issues in Colorado, depending on Jack Drury's next deal. You can find some cap issues in Montreal because they've got a few good young players to sign. Vegas is up against it, but they seem to have get out of jail free cards a lot of years. So there's a few teams that you might find. And if you're the Winnipeg Jets and you're really desperate to find some route to a next wave of talent that's going to supplement your star core as they hit 30 and beyond, it's something you've got to consider. Even if at the end of the day, I'm thinking there's very specific circumstances in which I think it's a good idea for Winnipeg. I think it's more likely it does not happen. It's something that needs to be explored. And so we got into that in some depth.
Yeah, everything certainly needs to be explored. By the way, I should mention that this segment is brought to you by our Prairie Toyota dealers in the Toyota Tacoma, featuring the available panoramic multi-terrain view monitor, which gives you a live underfloor view to navigate even the toughest terrain with ease. And when it's time to load up, the available power liftgate makes loading your gear in and out a cinch. You can experience power, capability, and convenience with the Toyota Tacoma. Visit shoptoyota.ca or your local Prairie Toyota dealer right now during Red Tag Days running through May. Murat, it is important to note with the restricted free agents and offer sheets is that you do need to get the player to agree to sign. And sometimes that can create friction or difficulties within the club. But we have seen this recently, and I think a great example that we've seen of taking advantage of timing is what the St. Louis Blues did to the Edmonton Oilers with the dual offer sheets. I know that's something you get in, but the impetus to go in a direction like this, is there much risk involved? I mean, if you don't get the player, you don't get the player. But I've always been wondering why we didn't maybe see more of these right now. And is there some sort of violation of a gentleman's agreement among some GMs when we come to RFAs?
When I've seen GMs, agents, et cetera, speak to the topic, they all sort of go to the party line that there's no agreement like that. It's just, it's a valid move. Offer sheets are legitimate. And honestly, because offer sheets tend to inflate salaries a little bit, like you wanted to put the other team in a cap crunch, I think if you polled the agents union, they'd be happy that if more teams started firing around offer sheets and more cap space got used and contracts went up a little bit in those specific cases. I think that a feeding frenzy would be great for agents. For teams, I guess you want to consider which individual club you are. And I actually think that there is a solid reason not to be the one that breaks the silence on offer sheets if you're Winnipeg. We already know that they're not the most hot spot UFA destination for unrestricted free agents who can sign anywhere. So if they go to the well and they start signing offer sheets, first of all, it's going to take specific cases to get players to sign, situations where they want more opportunity than they're getting and they don't see getting it in the city that they're in, or situations where they want far more money than their teams can afford. Usually it takes both of those to happen at the exact same time with the exact same player. And I think that's part of why they're so rare. With Holloway and Broberg in Edmonton, both of them had a few things going for them in terms of signing in St. Louis. One, they were sort of not looking at big top 6 or top 4 minutes in Edmonton, not right away. There were players blocking them. And probably each of those players, if I look back to the stories written at the time, felt like they were, I don't want to say dying on the vine, but more opportunity, that they were ready for it and it wasn't coming to them. And then those Edmonton Oilers were in a cap crunch that St. Louis completely correctly identified. All of that had to come together. If you have a $104 million cap and tons of cap space on all these other teams, well, Winnipeg could go swing for the fences and just flat out miss. What's the consequence of that? The worst case scenario is Winnipeg breaks the so-called gentleman's agreement, which I don't honestly think exists, and teams come for Winnipeg. And now you know, well, hey, the Jets, even when they were a cup contender, they didn't keep all their unrestricted free agents. Even when they were a President's Trophy winner, they didn't keep all their unrestricted free agents. Maybe we can go to town on their restricted free agents every single year, poaching their young talent. Like if there are situations like that, I think Winnipeg is susceptible to retaliation. Now, of course, you're only looking at Cole Perfetti this summer, who does have arbitration rights. There's ways to protect yourself as well. But if I were Winnipeg, I might not want to be the first team. Now, they wouldn't be because St. Louis already did it, but that's one possible consequence.
Now, one other key caveat that we should mention is that there is compensation going the other way. It's laid out. I mean, if you're signing a player to 11.5 plus, it's 4 first-round picks. But there's a lot of RFAs that land sort of in that middle. However, you have to have your own picks to even be eligible to do that. And the second rounder next year that would certainly be in the mix in any of those other scenarios, I believe, is currently held by the Seattle Kraken. So there'd be some work to be done before that even happens.
Yeah, that's a fact. And you can look at the compensation tiers. It's presented in the piece that I wrote at The Athletic. You can find them at Puckpedia. You can find how much money corresponds to how many draft picks you got to send to the other team if you steal a player from them via an offer sheet. And most of the bands, not all of them, but most of them require a second round pick, whether the compensation is just a second round pick or if it's part of a larger package. Winnipeg gave that to Seattle for Brandon Tanev, so it would need to get its own second round pick to make some of those tiers work. So that in and of itself is a challenge. The 4 first-round pick one is fun for me because the only player that I can think of that I really think would be worth it is Jason Robertson in Dallas. And you've got just enough of a cap crunch situation there with Maverick Bourque and Jason Robertson both needing new deals. Not a ton of cap space heading into next year. And for me, the kind of salary that a Jason Robertson type would get, 12, 13 million. I mean, he scores like Kyle Connor does, and he's 1 year away from unrestricted free agency. A Connor type deal makes tons of sense. So that would cost you 4 first-round picks. Somebody asked me the other day, well, would you trade Winnipeg's last 4 first-round picks for Jason Robertson? And you go through with the benefit of hindsight and you think about the picks Winnipeg has made and not made and injury issues and Ville Heinola playing where he is now and all that sort of stuff. And you go, well, yeah, of course I would. The cost is basically just Cole Perfetti in that situation. Obviously Brad Lambert and otherwise too, but in terms of people who've been full-time NHL players for Winnipeg. So if you pick the right one of those, I'm actually not as put off by the 4 first-round pick punishment as some might be.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, the guy that is the apple of probably everyone's eye, Leo Carlsson, Connor Bedard. I mean, you'd probably do those in a heartbeat, but the fact of the matter is that those would be matched in a heartbeat and probably would be a useless exercise other than just establishing what the contract value is for those players are with their current team.
100%. Those teams, not only do they have the cachet of having drafted these players, there's relationships there. They've got more cap space than Winnipeg does. They have, in the case of those true elite stars like a Leo Carlsson, like the precedent of letting somebody like that go would be horrible for a team. I think that that's where egos and elbow room and all that comes out. There's no way that even the richest, most ambitious contract to a Carlsson or a Connor Bedard type player goes unmatched. And those teams have more cap space than Winnipeg does. So yeah, I think you'd be wasting a lot of time to go down that route. Some unique options exist further down, like the ultimate goal would be to find, I think, a team that's in a bit of a cap crunch, that has raises to give out, and then a middle class of talent that they actually would consider letting go. And somebody put Peyton Krebs to me as an example in Buffalo. If the Sabres re-sign Alex Tuch, and he's an expensive player, and what happens there? There could be some cap casualties amongst the Sabres. There are players like that whose compensation is less in terms of draft picks, who blow Winnipeg's cap space to a lesser degree, and who might actually be let go. I do think the Connor Bedards and Leo Carlssons and probably even the Jason Robertsons of the world is a little bit, it's a little bit dreaming, but it's also May, so we get to do that.
I mean, listen, no surprise. The best case scenario would be able to fix this second line center issue that the team has been going through, the last number of years. I look at this list: Zegras, Kirby Dach in Montreal, Barrett Hayton in Utah, Cole Sillinger, Connor McMichael, Drury, who you mentioned, Adam Fantilli, a higher pick, probably costing more, probably less likely to not be matched. But is there a player or two of that list that, both from the players' side of things and the situation that their team is in right now, might be more a realistic guy to talk about in this scenario?
Yeah, I like Jack Drury as a discussion point. Now, his uncle was an absolute legend for the Avalanche, so there's lots of reasons why the Avalanche will want to keep a player like that. But he has been, if you're looking for a bottom six player in terms of the role that he's had, who is probably stuck in a bottom six role because they've got years of term left on McKinnon, on Brock Nelson, and Nazem Kadri for their top three centers. If he wants to be a center and he wins faceoffs at like a 57% rate, you'd want that guy down the middle. It's going to be a challenge for them to find him a ton of minutes. So you at least conceivably could sell Jack Drury on the possibility of second or third line type of minutes in Winnipeg, which would be more opportunity. Is that enough? Well, I don't know the person. I don't know the situation. The other side of that is that Colorado has enough of a cap crunch heading into next season. They've got some bonuses owed for Brent Burns' contract. They have a lot of their existing players under contract, even up against the $104 million cap. So it's one of the few teams where if you do offer, what I would call an overpayment of $5 or $6 million for Jack Drury, that's too much based on what he's accomplished so far in the league. It's a contract he might be able to grow into, and a contract that you don't like Colorado to be able to match without some roster surgery happening elsewhere. So I do like that Jack Drury as a discussion point.
You mentioned Krebs, and Buffalo's situation is really interesting. They just had this amazing season. They want to keep the momentum moving forward. The Tuch situation seems important to both the optics, after having, and he's a local guy, came in the Eichel trade. Like, I think they'll really want to do that. The one guy that you mentioned, Peyton Krebs, that could sort of be left waiting, is he, because not only do you have the Tuch situation, Zach Benson needs a new deal. And I mean, I'm not sure there's anyone that probably juiced up their market value more with their performance in the Stanley Cup playoffs than Zach Benson. Now, he seems to be a guy that they would simply not let leave. And I didn't see him on the list, but I'd imagine he's coming out of his ELC. He's a restricted free agent, so he would be in the mix. But the cost of Tuch and keeping Benson, that is the scenario that might make a guy like Krebs more expendable for Buffalo. Is it more likely in the end that these players sign RFA deals, or you get to a point where you're talking about it and then just simply work out a trade?
I honestly think the trades solve a lot of these problems before those contracts happen. Even when Carolina and Montreal were like angry with each other over their offer sheets, where Montreal signed Sebastian Aho and it was matched, and then Carolina signed Jesperi Kotkaniemi and actually was able to break him loose from Montreal. As I understand it, they had considered trading for that player, and discussions were had. I'm not sure to what degree. So even in like one of the few situations where an offer sheet has successfully pulled a player in the last several years, other than the Blue situation, trade talks, could have happened and maybe would have been able to make that happen. So yeah, I think most sensibly, I think it's kind of going through the front door of a negotiation as well too. I mean, sometimes it also gives you more flexibility in terms of what assets you might want to pay. For example, you might want to hold on to your draft picks, or you might not like the compensation tier, and you might be able to give a team prospects or something else down the line. So I think that I've also written at length about trade targets for second line center, and many of these players also appear, including Peyton Krebs, though I think second line center is a little bit beyond him at this stage. There's a big overlap between those players for a reason. And I think that Krebs is, you can go back to when they were scouting him. As I recall, the story out of Buffalo is they kept watching Krebs and they kept going, oh my God, who's this Zach Benson? Not who is he, but how good is he? What an incredible player. And I think that was the beginning in some ways of what's turned into this beautiful story in the great playoffs that Benson had. He has been the shinier prospect since the get-go.
Well, listen, we saw all of these kids here when they were ice. I mean, Krebs was sort of like the alpha. Then you had Matt Savoy, and then you had Zach Benson, and Benson was pretty much a regular as an 18-year-old. It took another year for Savoy to get in, and then at a certain point they figured, geez, we're in a big surplus right now. And they made a really good trade in moving him to Edmonton for Ryan McLeod, who's been a huge part of their success right now, which was what they needed. And just a note on trade sort of being the way these scenarios end up, but the RFA dangle threat, I guess, pushing things forward. We're going to see a guy play tonight, K'Andre Miller. I mean, last year we heard that Carolina was ready to make an offer sheet and sign Miller, and the Rangers ended up reading the writing on the wall, talking about it. They gave him the opportunity to come to terms with Carolina and ended up making that trade. What was for Scott Morrow, as well as a first-round pick and a second-round pick in the draft, and that was sort of, they went up, and that compensation is probably pretty close to where he ended up signing. So there is a little bit of a framework for all of that. Murat, speaking of the Canes, just moving away from the Jets in the offseason for a minute to what's happening right now. How are the Habs doing it? They have a game tonight, despite what's happened in the last 2 Game 7s on the ice. The Montreal magic keeps continuing. Do you give Montreal much of a shot against this Carolina team that has looked so good in the first couple rounds? Or will this be the clock striking midnight for Les Habitants as they go into Carolina this evening? I'm fascinated by this matchup.
If for some reason you're out there listening to us talk and you're a Montreal Canadiens fan, just take comfort in the fact that I have not known what I've been talking about, because I picked them to lose in round 1 and I picked them to lose in round 2 as well. So I have not been correct about Montreal Canadiens outcomes at any point during these playoffs. At the same time, I think that Carolina is too suffocating a team. I think that they're going to be able to establish their forecheck, pardon me. They're going to be able to pressure breakout passes, and they're going to have back pressure coming back to chase down the likes of the brilliant Lane Hudson as he rushes up the ice. I think that the depth favors the Hurricanes. Neither team's top line has really been on fire, which is incredible. How could you say that and have Montreal still be surviving now? They do find a way. They forever seem to find a way. But I think this is the toughest test that they'll face. It certainly is. I think Carolina can be a suffocating team. And as long as the rest hasn't absolutely somehow hooped their rhythm under Coach Rod Brindamore, I think the Hurricanes take this one.
I'm not sure if you saw much of last night's game, but quite the start for the Vegas Golden Knights, and probably a big-time wake-up call for the Avalanche in Game 1. But, man, that team sure looks different without Cale Makar.
Yeah, it's just such a dynamic presence and incredible. Like, I saw a tweet from Michael Russo saying, well, this is why Minnesota regrets not extending the series. And of course, I mean, that's an incredible hockey player. At the same time, I think Colorado has, I think it's deep. I think it's deep in star power. I think that even without such a dynamic, incredible player, they should be able to find a way to rally, not only make this a series, but I still wouldn't write them out of winning it. I don't know how soon Makar is back. I don't know how is this public knowledge. Is he day to day? Is he day to day with a wink?
There's no information available. I mean, it's the playoffs. Remember?
Fair play. Yeah. Sometimes I don't want to get too far down a road and then realize, wait a second, this is something I could have Googled 10 minutes ago. But for me, when I watched Colorado play against Los Angeles, first round, Game 4, the sweep, I saw a level of play absorbing the Los Angeles Kings' biggest punch that I went to Twitter and I said, you're looking at your Western Conference champions. And I continue to believe that about the Colorado Avalanche. I think that they can win in too many different ways. I think they will get over their Game 1 loss. And I think that they're going to give Vegas a problem for the rest of the series. Does that mean that they're going to win it? I'm not sure. 1-0 means a lot. But I still hold them as the favorites. I still believe in that team.
Yeah, well, I can tell you that the odds got shaken up big time. We'll hit those when we do the Coolbet lines at the end of the program, but a lot closer to an even series now that Vegas has stolen home ice with that win in Game 1. Hey, just on the way out, pretty nice morning for the Jets, especially Mark Scheifele out at the Worlds. Hat trick, OT winner, gave Velarde a goal and an assist. I mean, it had been sort of a slow start for Scheifele. They've been working it around, but, I mean, you just got to feel good for him after missing the opportunity to represent Canada. Bit of a slow start to the tourney to put up a hat trick, be the OT hero as they get into the more meaningful games of the round robin, and then the ones that really count, the playoff runs in Zurich.
Yeah, just good for him, right? Like the season that he had, the points he put up, and whether every single person listening or not thinks he should have been on Team Canada at the Olympics or Four Nations, like he produced like crazy offensively, and he's a human being. So that feeling of missing out on those teams would have stuck with them. It would have stung. So good on him for going. He's a veteran player. He doesn't have to go. Good on him. Good on Sid. Good on the other veterans who are on that team, including Winnipeg Jets. So then he chooses to go. Team Canada is wearing some of my favorite Team Canada jerseys. So good on them for that decision as well. This is goated stuff, I think, jersey-wise for Team Canada. And then the goals he scored, carrying the puck into the zone, dangles, gets tripped up, finishes his dangle while falling, and then he buries that. That's a beautiful goal from the middle of the ice. I also loved, it wasn't a power play, but his one-timer from the middle, it looks like he would be the perfect bumper player. What a shot, what a one-timer. And it reminded me of when Blake Wheeler used to feed him one-timers on the Jets power play way back in the day, and he just lit it up. He's a wonderful shooter in that regard. And then you get an OT winner out of the deal. So, for Winnipeg Jets fans who just want to see people who wear their jersey have a good time, score some big goals, it was a great morning, I am sure.
Murat, anything you want to tease that we can look forward to in the Athletic coming up?
Well, the Jets have some contracts to sign, and I think this is a unique year for them in terms of the amount of cap space that they're going to have as far as we can project it now. And relatively few RFA deals compared to some of the other years. Cole Perfetti will need to get signed. Isaac Rozane's going to need to get signed. So we're going to talk about those. And then we'll get into, well, okay, if offer sheets are a little bit ridiculous and if trades are hard to come by and the second line center is a problem, well, what do you do with all this extra cap space? How can you approach Winnipeg's unique situation and get something out of it? Because this is a team that believes that it's playoff bound and is trying to be better than that. So we're going to expect a little bit more this offseason yet.
Murat, looking forward to it. All the best to you and your little one. Have a great night and enjoy hopefully some nice weather coming around our way eventually.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, as always.
Appreciate it. There's Murat Ates at WPG Murat on X. And, of course, you can read all of his work along with the Athletic team at theathletic.com. All right. Man, there is so much going on at Royal Sports right now as they get ready for spring, summer, and the World Cup. Of course, soccer and baseball seasons just getting going. Hopefully not too many cancellations so far, but if you need some cleats, boots for baseball, soccer, softball, you name it, the best selection in town is at Royal Sports, along with the best in athletic footwear you will find anywhere, streetwear as well. But they are so ready for the World Cup. You want to get Team Canada gear ready to wear the red everywhere you go on Canada match days. Royal Sports has you set up. We've also got jerseys and kits from teams from around the world. And while you head back to the World Cup section, go a little bit further and pop your head in on the incredible selection of bikes and bicycles and e-bikes they've got at Royal Sports right now. Royal is the sports superstore in Winnipeg for over 60 years. Keep your eyes out at Royal Sports Winnipeg on Instagram as well. Give them a follow and a sub there because you'll want to know for the latest merchandise drops and sale information. Keep your eyes out for that next Royal tent sale coming soon as well. Goldeye's first weekend at home is coming up today. They had the early game. May 22nd is Friday. The Milwaukee Milkmen and the Fish owe them 3, actually, as they got swept in Milwaukee to start the season. So 7 o'clock on Friday, 6 o'clock on Saturday, and 1 p.m. Sunday afternoon. Goldeyes baseball is back. The fun, the food, the beverages, the baseball, it is all there. Get your tickets today at goldeyes.com/tickets. Do want to thank our friends at Assiniboia Downs for their support. We've had another great couple days of live racing this week. Be back at it next week. But if you haven't already, folks, go to winnipegsportstalk.com/contest and get your name in for our third and final horse race next Wednesday. Congratulations to, I believe it was Chelsea, who was our winner yesterday. You're going to want to be sure that you're available on June 3rd to join the WST team, along with our other 2 winners and their guests, out for an incredible dinner in the Assiniboia Downs dining room with the prime rib buffet and a night of racing and hopefully a few winners. So sign up today, winnipegsportstalk.com/contest, and join us at the end of Wednesday's show with our third and final horse race for the win. And make your plans to get out to the track all summer long. Full live racing schedule available at asdowns.com. Listen, just before we get to our next segment, Remo, we were just talking about the Goldeyes. Absolutely brutal news right now. Front page of the Winnipeg Free Press, the private charter bus of the Lake County team that was in to play the Goldeyes over the opening series was torched last night, set on fire while unoccupied in the parking lot by the ballpark last night. 2 people were arrested for the blaze, which destroyed the 56-seat bus. The president of Windstar Lines that owned the bus said that it sounds like some kids set it on fire. A couple kids are in custody with the police in Winnipeg. But listen, just another unfortunate example of the decay of what's going on right now in the city. And man, this team's going to need to get a bus from Winnipeg to take them to Fargo. That company's going to come and pick them up. But just a really unfortunate side story to, well, it's usually such a fun time of year in welcoming the boys of summer back to Winnipeg.
Yeah, this is a story that's been updating, throughout the last, hour and a half or so. And a 15-year-old girl is accused of setting fire to the private charter bus, facing charges of arson and possession of incendiary material, released on an undertaking and turned over to a responsible adult. Shout out to Chris Kitching with the story in the Winnipeg Free Press and these pictures. I mean, this bus is totally wrecked.
Toast.
I mean, this is pretty disgusting that someone would, just go and destroy someone else's property. I mean, this is a bus that costs like $450,000, a 2022. It's a mode of travel. It's not like these minor league baseball teams have like tons of money. The owner of the bus company said, yeah, they have insurance, but like, come on, this is pretty disgusting and disappointing to see that a team would come here, park their bus like so many have since the ballpark opened in 1999, and and this would happen, just screwing the team. They're finding their way home, but I mean,
terrible for the Gold Eyes too. I mean, the way they look and just the way people look at our city. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to get on a big long rant on this one, but it is brutal. It's a bit of the sign of the times, and I will say, what the world needs now, I think, is a few more consequences in life. Listen, we are going to, we're going to give a big cheers to our friends at Little Brown Jug in just a moment, and then we're going to team up with our friends at Travel Manitoba. This is such a cool story that we've got coming up for you. Many of you will remember us heading out to Dauphin a couple years ago in advance of the Manitoba Summer Games. And let's just say that the legacy of that event is now a must-see for people that like getting active and outside over the course of the summer. We're going to head out to Westman with Travel Manitoba. But first, let's crack a cold one and give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
This is going to be fun. We are going out to just outside of Dauphin with our friends at Travel Manitoba to give you some ideas on incredible activities to take part, not just in the summer, really, but 12 months a year. Let's welcome in Clayton Swanton from Northgate Trails, just outside of beautiful Dauphin, Manitoba. Clayton, it's great to have you on the program. How are you today?
Hey, I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
This is so cool. We're speaking with Michael Grajewski from Travel Manitoba a couple weeks ago on the show. And, we were talking about May Long Weekend, and we focused in a little bit on Clear Lake and just the growth of Clear Lake and how popular it's become. And we thought this would be a perfect time to talk about maybe some activities that you can do out in Western Manitoba if you're out in that neck of the woods for a weekend or for a few days. And needless to say, what you guys have done with the Northgate Trails coming out of the Manitoba Summer Games a couple of years ago was right at the top of the list. So it is great to have you on the program. Just before we kind of get into what's awaiting people and all the different things that they can do, this was on our radar a couple of years ago before the Manitoba Summer Games, and it seems like this is the legacy project that you and the people in the Dauphin area, especially bike riders, sort of envisioned 2 years ago.
Yeah, this is it. It came to fruition. I don't know if you'll recall, but we were supposed to host the games not in 2024, but in 2020, and we got COVIDed out. So we started working on these trails back in 2018. It kind of started to come into our mind as, hey, if we're going to host the games, we need a mountain bike track. Why build 4 kilometers that might not get maintained after the games? Let's do something that's going to. The Northgate idea came to fruition, and we ended up creating 26 kilometers of multi-use trails. It's not just mountain biking. You can do hiking, running, whatever out there. And we're just thrilled that we were able to host a fantastic summer games on them. The 4-year delay was great for the network. It all burned in, and it was even better once we did get a chance to host. And now we're just riding that wave a couple years after the games. It's, hey, let's keep marketing. Yeah.
Now, listen, there's a lot of folks that may be in the Dauphin area or in and around Country Fest. This might be a great thing to add on to your trip. Or frankly, I mean, from what you guys have built out there, this is really worth the drive from pretty much anywhere in Manitoba. Give us the Coles notes right now for people that are not familiar with what Northgate Trails is and what awaits them when they head out to the beautiful Riding Mountain National Park area.
Yeah, that's it. That we knew from day one that we needed to be worth the drive. That was it, right? We're 3.5 hours from Winnipeg. Us out here in Dauphin, we think nothing of hopping in the car and going into Winnipeg for whatever we need to do, sporting events and whatever kids' activities. We do it all the time, but we understand that that's not always front of mind for the Winnipegger to hop in their vehicle and drive 3.5 hours in a different direction from all the amenities that you guys have there. So we worked really hard to make sure that what we were building was first class and would be worth the drive. So as you're heading out from Winnipeg, there's a couple ways to get here. You can go through the Narrows, and there's some fishing spots through there, or you can head up the number 1 and turn off at Gladstone and go through Neepawa. You can cut across to Minnedosa and then head through the park, right? You get your Wasagaming experience. Clear Lake is beautiful, not to be missed this summer. It's I think there's even free park passes this year again for people, so that's worth the trip. But from Wasagaming, it's a 35-minute drive through a national park to get to Northgate, and in another 10 minutes you're in Dauphin. So that's what people can expect when they're heading out of the city. That it's doable, and there's lots to see and do in our great province along the way. And when they arrive at Northgate, they're going to get a trailhead area that's got first-rate amenities for bathrooms. There's a shower there for our micro cabins. We have overnight accommodations, 5 little micro cabins that are 10 by 10, and you can book those through the website that we have that are linked to Airbnb. There's a picnic shelter there with a fire pit, free firewood's provided, and then you just explore. There's 26 kilometers of trail, over 750 acres of land between the north edge of Riding Mountain National Park and the Sela Ukraina Heritage Site, where, as you mentioned, Country Fest and Ukrainian Festival are held every year. So it's in that pocket of land.
Now, so I'm heading out there with some friends. We want to tackle the trails. Give us the options for how we do that. I mean, I'm sure anyone that is into mountain biking, I'm sure might already be on their radar. But if they haven't been, this is sort of the jewel that you guys were envisioning with the competition in the first place. Yeah. And obviously you can tackle it with bikes and maybe speak to what you might want to have equipment-wise to get out there. But other ways, if you're not a bike rider, to enjoy what Northgate Trails has to offer.
Yeah, I think the one thing I would probably say is download the Trail Forks app. That app gives you, it's all over the world. Wherever you are in to go exploring, you can usually find your trail on there. So that's a really good one to have when you're out on the trails. We've got trail maps throughout the network and pretty good signage, but that'll help you. Just make sure you got good footwear and water, and you can plan your route before you go out, and just experience all the trails that are flowy and fun. And they, when you started our trailhead, you're naturally kind of going downhill towards the Country Fest site, and then you got to work your way back up. But our trail designers did a fantastic job of making the climbs really accessible and manageable for people. The Co-op Family Trail is just limestone, 6 feet wide, very flat. You can take the family along there, and as the family's walking on the limestone path, there's a little pump track for the kids that's about 800 meters long that they can be on their bikes kind of floating through the bush right beside you. And then you can get out. The further you get from the trailhead, a little more advanced the trails get. We've got one trail called Ruby Thursday that's got no bridges on it. When the water goes down, you're just biking through the creek. There's about 6 creek crossings on that trail alone. And it comes out to a trail called Wall Street, which has a nice big wall ride, which mountain bikers will recognize from, seeing videos from out west. It's just a super, super fun trail.
Now, folks, if you want more information, you can just go to northgatetrails.com, and it'll tell you more about, all the features of Northgate, as well as a map, getting there. One of the things that it does mention is trail conditions. I mean, we know, hell, Mother Nature wasn't too kind for all of our May-long weekends, at least temperature-wise, but how important is trail conditions as far as where you're going to go and what you're going to be tackling when you get on 2 wheels?
Yeah, we're pretty fortunate. I'm hesitant to say that it'll ride in all conditions. I think if there's a deluge of rain while it's raining, you don't want to be out there. Yeah. But it's amazing. We'll see within 3 hours of the sun coming out after a major rainfall, and the trails are rideable because they were built correctly. They were built sustainably. The soil conditions, the stuff closer to Riding Mountain National Park is a bit sandier. It actually rides better when it's wet. So if you're concerned about making plans and getting out here and then having it rain on your first day, I wouldn't worry about that. I think those trails are able to handle everything. And if there's 1 or 2 that we need to close down, we've got volunteers who go out and we'll do that for a short period of time until it dries up. But that happens very seldom.
Clayton, I'm sure you and we're hoping that a bunch of people will see this and say, you know what, that is on my list of things to do over the next few months. What has been the feedback from first timers that have come out and checked it out for their first run?
Yeah, amazed. I mean, we have locals who will tell me all the time, like, I finally went out to Northgate, and I can't believe I didn't do it sooner. Like, you guys were right. It's amazing. And that happens all the time. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's what we've been saying. It's like, it's super cool out there. And people will be like, oh, but I'm not a biker, so I don't want to go check it out. And we're like, it's multi-use. It's built. The way we put it is mountain bikers are the pickiest for trail variety and trail conditions. So we built it to that standard. Just to make sure that it was good for mountain biking, but then it's also multi-use. So I think what we hear consistently is when we have people who will be driving through, they'll find us on the Trail Forks app, they'll be coming across Canada, and they'll say, that's the best riding I've had since I left BC. That is by far the best. And then we'll have people say, that's better than anything I've ridden in BC. I won't go that far. I mean, BC's got a whole lot of elevation, but you don't need a lot of steep downhill in order to get a fantastic mountain bike trail. And I think the variety that we offer in our flora and fauna, it's just a unique pocket of the world. There's a trail called Jersey Shore that's got ferns in there that you feel like you're in Jurassic Park. Like in the middle of summer, they are just massive. And we'll have the people from Riding Mountain National Park come out and they're like, we don't have anything like this in the park. This is unique. We're right along the edge, but it's a very unique pocket and super cool. So
now, a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about the Clear Lake and the Wasagaming area, we were talking a lot about camping and getting out there, which a lot of people will want to do. But what is really neat, and especially for people that are really keen to spend a lot of time on the trails and max out their time, is that you have some really small but unique accommodation options right there. Tell us what's available if people wanted to sort of set up shop for a day or two.
Yeah, the micro cabins are a really neat offer. They're right at the trailhead, tucked away in their own little pockets in the bush along the trailhead. There's 5 of them. They're 10 by 10 structure with a little deck on the front. You get a couple porch patio chairs. You can hang your bikes on the outside, and there's bunk beds inside. And yeah, we're in the process of clearing the areas to put fire pits out, which is new. I think people who have been there before will be happy to hear that they can now have a fire right at the at their little campsite, and just down the road, not very far, walking distance, 100 meters down, is our trailhead with a big fire pit and picnic shelter that people can enjoy. And in the washroom structure for the Airbnb cabin guests, there's a little shower in there too, so you can clean up after your day. And I think I've heard that some of the local delivery places will even bring a pizza up there for you. So if you need some meals and don't want to run into Dauphin, it's just 10 kilometers away. I think they'll deliver.
No, and I mean, listen, this is great. You're kind of out in the woods, but people do like to be connected. You mentioned there's actually Wi-Fi in these little spots too.
Yeah. There's Wi-Fi in the cabins because we want you to be able to share those pictures and get your friends out here.
Smart move,
right? Yeah, that's it, and spread the word. Right. So the picture you had up there was the big, beautiful Northgate sign. We did that on purpose to, you don't make a lot of money with a sign, but you get the word out. Everybody stands in front of that big Northgate sign to take their photo, because when you show up at the trailhead, you're like, I'm somewhere. This is something here. Right. So, we encourage people, whether it's like a group of buddies, throw your bikes in your vehicle and you come out to ride with buddies, or it's a great family experience. Dauphin is really family friendly. We've got great beaches at Lake Dauphin, and there's Moon Lake just up the road in Rocky Mountain National Park. The park just finished a 1 kilometer boardwalk trail called Boreal, and it's right by Moon Lake, about 10 minutes from the trailhead. It's a fantastic update to one of their trails. Our local pool has a wave pool, which I think is unique to Manitoba. That was a Summer Games legacy item. We got the wave pool back up and running with a water slide at our local pool. So there's lots for families to do.
Well, and listen, I know we kind of focus in on right now because we're so much looking forward to summer, but this is a place that's really used 12 months a year. I mean, what happens when the snow falls down at Northgate Trails?
Yeah, oh man, it's beautiful in there when the snow falls. We've got these machines called a snow dog groomer. We've got 3 of them, so we go out and we hit the trails, keep them packed, and hope it sets up well for the fat biking. You got the pictures there. Fat biking is just it's super fun. The trails get even better sometimes to ride than in the summer because the snow just creates a smooth surface. Once we groom it, it's perfection, right? And if you can hit it right, it doesn't get any better. There's cross-country ski trails into the national parks. So right from our trailhead, you can head into the park for, I think there's 25K of cross-country ski trails from our trailhead that are accessible. There's 12K of fat bike trails that we keep groomed, and then snowshoeing as well anywhere on the network. So beautiful place in the winter.
Northgatetrails.com, just outside of Dauphin. Put it on your to-do list. And I would suggest folks to try to get out there sooner as opposed to later to see where this project has begun, because, man, you guys have some exciting things coming down the pipe from what I hear. Tell us about the expansion of Northgate Trails that's going to be happening over the coming years.
Yeah, it's great to be able to talk expansion when we're this new and people are just hearing about us for the first time. But we've been at this for 10 years, so we've always had a vision of expanding into Rocky Mountain National Park more. We've been working with Parks Canada for 10 years now, just having discussions about what can we do, and we've done a lot of work in the back end to get ready for that with a shovel-ready project. And then we were thrilled this year to from some of our conversations with the provincial government, they awarded us $1.5 million provincial grant in order to expand into the national park, which is fantastic. We were thrilled. It's very unique where we have 3 levels of government who are working together. We've got the provincial government granting money to the city of Dauphin, who was able to funnel that to Northgate so that we can partner with the federal government and Rocky Mountain National Park in order to build trail in the park, which is going to benefit the entire province. Because once that's built, we're talking an extra 40 kilometers of trail. We become a 70-plus kilometer trail network, and it is 1,000 feet of elevation drop from the top of the new addition to the Country Fest site. So if anybody who mountain bikes will just be blown away. And if anyone's ever driven that highway through the park to Dauphin from Wissahickon, you get over a crest and you can just see the flat prairie ahead of you. That's where the bike trail starts. Essentially, you're off to the side in the bush, but you're from that elevation and you're heading right down all the way on accessible. We're building it all to accessible standard, so that it's open to everybody, and it'll be a 12-kilometer downhill. So stay tuned. That's probably a couple years away, but we're working hard right now to get that off the ground.
Listen, it's just so exciting and so cool to see, the excitement of the Manitoba Summer Games turned into something that I think is going to be a boon for the community, and certainly for people that want some great active options 12 months a year outside of the city of Winnipeg. It's just outside of Dauphin, Northgate Trails. Check it all out at northgatetrails.com. And Clayton, anything else people should know before they plan a trip out over the next few months to see what you guys have cooked up?
Yeah, I listened last week when Michael was on, and I would just say, just like bring your sticks, like you said, bring your golf clubs. Clear Lake is fantastic, but so is Gilbert Plains. Gilbert Plains Golf Course is an absolute gem, and so if you're already out this way, you can check out that one also. We've got an award-winning microbrewery in Obsolete Brewing that is absolutely worth the drive in itself, and Dawson's creating its own entertainment district on that street with a fantastic bakery and butcher shop, and we've got the amenities. Come on out, and if it's raining and you want to golf, they've got Caddies just opened up with a golf simulator. So 12 months of the year, you bring your sticks and have fun out here.
Bring your sticks, bring your bikes, and get out and check out Western Manitoba, Riding Mountain National Park, and Northgate Trails just outside of Dauphin. Again, the website for all the information is northgatetrails.com. You can get more from Travel Manitoba as well at travelmanitoba.com. Clayton, you have a great one. All the best on the trails, and we'll look forward to checking it out in person in the coming months. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you. See you in Dauphin.
Man, does that sound awesome? Northgate Trails, and man, with that extension into Riding Mountain, that is going to end up being, I think, if it isn't already, truly one of the jewels of the province. So if you are out in the Clear Lake, Wasagaming area, make sure to and Dauphin, obviously, be sure to check that out. Speaking of jewels of the province, fishing season is here, and man, I was fired up. I saw the Instagram feed over at Aikens Lake. They had a huge week of getting it all ready for guests, and I believe the first guests are out there today and on the water. I'm going to be part of a group that is one of the earliest of the year. I'll be out there next week. Connor and Remo will be handling duties here on WST, and I'll have plenty for you. Maybe we'll hook up with the fellas at some point from there. We'll have tons of pictures and video from Aikens. But if you were thinking about a world-class fly-in fishing experience here in the province where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours from the city of Winnipeg, Aikens Lake is the spot. And as I've told you before, I mean, the fishing is world-class. The hospitality and the environment is even better. The Turin family, the Aikens team, is second to none. And it's always my favorite few days of the year. So I'm excited. But if you're excited, just thinking about maybe get out to Aikens, go to aikenslake.com and find out more on opportunities and options for this year, as well as availability for the 2026 fishing season. And geez, back at it with the CJ Cup today on the PGA Tour. Let's get a little Breezy Bend leaderboard action today. Do want to mention that if you're looking for an incredible long-term golfing home at one of Winnipeg's top private courses with an incredible social scene, junior programs, ladies programs, great men's night, and more, championship course, incredible improvements to, added the patio. I mean, they just have it all right now at Breezy Bend going. I would check out breezybend.ca for more information on membership. If you'd like to talk to the GM of the year, our pal Corey Johnson, give him a holler at 895-7205 and find out more about this year and upcoming years at Breezy Bend. Brooks Koepka. Brooks came out strong today. 8 under 63. He's got a one-shot lead over Emiliano Grillo. Kashmir Keith Mitchell, who Patty was on yesterday from our conversation. Oh, and Siwoo Kim as well, who's the number 2 on the board. I see Mac Hughes, the Canadian, at 6 under par. He's Stefan Jaeger, who I got a piece of. He's just 1 shot back at 7 under. Johnny Kiefer in at 5. I got him at 100 to 1. Scotty Scheffler. Where's Scotty? Scotty's 5 under. He's still there, right in the mix. Tony Finau, we didn't get him for a first-round leader. He is in the top 20, though, at 4 under par. Other Canadians playing this weekend. Ben Silverman, 3 under. And as we continue down the list, not sure if... Oh, Taylor Pendrith, 1 under. He's through 7 right now. AJ Ewart, just on his 3rd hole. He's 1 under. And Adam Svensson, even par through 10. Adam Hadwin. Man, it's been a tough kind of year and a half for Hadwin. He's 4 over. And no Sudarshan this week. He's taken a week off after playing a ton and making it into his first major that week. Breezy Bend Golf Report, as always, brought to you by our friends at Breezy Bend. Check them out. breezybend.ca. All right. We still got lots to get to on the program. Remo, it's time for a Chud Sports Power Poll. And you have the Power Poll. I'm going to blind rank this, and then you can critique me on it. Of course, our Power Polls are brought to you by our friends at Chud's Power Sports up in Gimli, Manitoba's Power Sports Superstore. They're ready for you right now with the latest and best in both new and used ATVs, dirt bikes, motorcycles, golf carts, boats, RVs, and more. Check them out online, chudspowersports.com, and up in Gimli at the corner of Highway 8 and 231. All right, what is the topic?
Okay, we're going to do a blind ranking today, and you're going to have to rank. We talked about province of Manitoba putting out the survey. They want to know what everyone thinks about the time zone, and that's going to have big consequences for sports watchers. So I thought it would be a good poll. The best time zone for watching Sportscast. So you can rank them. The first one, where are you putting the Atlantic time zone?
Ooh, Atlantic. So that is an hour ahead of the Eastern time zone.
Yes.
Which means that
It's
I
rough.
think that's probably 5.
I was in Halifax once, like Monday Night Football started at like 10 p.m. or something. It was dumb. It's terrible. I don't know how you do it there.
The Atlantic. Yeah, I'm sorry, friends in Atlantic, Canada. I think you're at number 5 on this one. I think I have a pretty clear delineation of the top 5 here. We'll see whether it matches yours. Central's going straight to the top. We've talked about this for a long time. Central time zone, hockey, 6 and 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock Monday Night Football, NFL slates of noon, 3, 7. We have it the best for sports fans in the Central time zone. Central is number 1. Eastern, I'm going to go Eastern number 3. And listen, it's sort of right in between Central and Atlantic, of course. You do have some later starts. You don't have things starting as early ever. But I'm going with number 3 for the East. Mountain is number 2. Like when your team's playing out in the East, it starts at 5 o'clock, which is too early. You don't get the 9:30 games often. 8:39 is probably the latest that you would ever get. So if I wasn't in the Central time zone, I think I'm picking Mountain, which means Pacific is 4. And I can remember Reem from going out a number of times and doing the Grey Cup week in Vancouver and the Jets were on the road on the East Coast. And we'd finish the show and I would get to the bar to watch the Jet game and it was starting at 4 o'clock. No one's even done work. So I'm not into the Pacific time zone as much, but I guess I would prefer it over the Atlantic with those ridiculously late nights. So Central, Mountain, Eastern, Pacific, Atlantic. Did you have any differences in your power poll?
I had the same one. I was very torn about 3 and 4 Pacific and Eastern. Eastern gets too late. I'd rather have slightly earlier in the mountain. Atlantic is, I don't know how you would do it. Like, you'd have to move, I think. Like, these overtime games, just anything. It's all starting too late. And Pacific, like, I've been in Pacific time zone, like, on vacation, and it's nice to watch, like, the early games, but there's no late games. Like, you just go to bed early. There's nothing on.
Yeah, everything's over at 9:30, which I actually think sucks. But that's better than inevitably missing a lot of what the people in the Atlantic do. So there you go, folks. Our Chud's Power Sports Power Poll for today. Best time zones for sports. Consider yourselves lucky as a central time zoner. And hopefully we don't screw this up with whatever happens with this survey that we're doing on daylight savings and all of that. All right. We got to get to the Coolbet lines in just a minute. But we got a special segment coming up right now because this weekend is the Manitoba Cornhole Provincial Championships. You're saying, what the heck, Cornhole? Provincial Championships? That's exactly what I'm telling you. But I don't know a lot about it. But we're going to find out right now because Jeff Munday joins us, the president of the Manitoba Cornhole Association. Jeff, what is up? Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk. How are you?
Thanks for having me. We're excited.
This is wild. Tell us just quickly about the Manitoba Cornhole Association. It's a game many of us have played, having a beer out at a tailgate party or so. I actually have a bunch of friends that run kind of mini little cornhole tournaments with a bunch of people just in our neighborhood, which is a lot of fun. But this is the best of the best, and there are some people that take it pretty seriously.
Yeah, there are. So I started it in the backyard and at the cottage and couldn't lose and thought, well, this is fun. And then watched on TV and they were playing for thousands of dollars. So there is a competitive section of cornhole. They've got television broadcasting rights and everything. And hopefully someday it'll be in the Olympics. So when I heard that, I thought I'm in. I'm on Team Canada. Then I found out how serious everyone takes it that actually does compete. So we use software to keep track of our stats. There's guys that are analyzing their stats after every night of cornhole. But we also have created this community in Manitoba where it's just welcoming and inclusive and everyone is just having a blast playing. So we do have fun nights and then we do have competitive. But all in all, it's super fun.
This has always been just a hobby and a fun game for people to play. I have to ask you, are analytics ruining cornhole?
Sometimes, yeah. There's guys that look at their stats and get so angry that they just, on the spot, they decide they're quitting the game, for sure.
Yeah, we do that around the 10th hole often, and then you get a birdie or a nice shot on 18, and it brings you right back. So the Manitoba Cornhole Association is dedicated to growing the game, actively connecting with players and organizers to create new opportunities for Manitobans, and no better opportunity for Manitobans than the third annual Cornhole Provincial Championships, and it's happening this weekend, Friday and Saturday, at the Heather Curling Club. And when I saw photos of this, I'm like, this is an absolutely perfect venue. Some of these unused curling clubs with the perfect venue to set up a ton of boards and go at it. And that's exactly what's going to be happening tomorrow and Saturday.
Yeah, so blank canvas in the curling club, we turn it into a cornhole festival, basically. We'll have 20 to 25 courts set up. Friday night is a social where we have a bar running and people just come and we mix partners and just have some fun with it. That we'll see about 100 players playing in that. And then Saturday we have singles in the morning with divisions for all caliber of play. So competitive, intermediate, and social divisions. And then Saturday at night is the grand finale with the doubles. And that's always fun. So yeah, the Heather Curling Club is absolutely perfect for this.
So again, there's competitive, intermediate, and social fun for folks that just like to play, but not particularly serious about it.
Yeah. None of us take it ourselves seriously. If we're playing cornhole, we're not. Everyone's having fun.
That is what it's all about. And I mean, listen, the social style atmosphere on Friday, especially in a place like that. I mean, those places are built for socials. I mean, I don't think you could have a better environment for putting it all together. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of people that are excited to get going on this, but it is not too late to participate. If people are hearing this going, I can throw the bean bags. I want to take a run, or I just have an open couple days and this sounds awesome. How can someone get involved? And what if people just want to come and check it out and to watch, not necessarily play?
Yeah, so there's Friday night, they can come and anyone can join and play. There's an entry fee, but if the competition will start at 6 p.m., they show up at 5, we can get them checked in, and it's just cash at the door. Anyone can come and watch, so it's open to the public for people just to come and watch some of the best players in the province. In fact, one of our players won the national championship last year, so we have some of the best players in the country playing in Manitoba. There's 7 different clubs that are sending players from around the province, and it's just going to be a lot of fun. We're also live streaming it. So we have a feature court. We'll have our YouTube channel live streaming all day Saturday, which is at Cornhole MB or Cornhole Manitoba. So lots of ways for people to check out how people chuck bags in Manitoba.
This is awesome. So again, tomorrow will be a real fun night. Saturday is the full competition, final Saturday night. It's at the Heather Curling Club in Winnipeg. It's free to spectators. And what's the website? If people want to send this to someone that maybe wasn't watching right now that's playing, where can they get all the information on potentially playing, spectating, as well as everything else you're doing at the MCA?
Sure, yeah. So it's cornholemb.ca. They can check out our mission statement and our board of directors, things like that. But our events page is where they'll find all the info on the provincials, the 2026 provincial championships. And my contact information is there as well. So if they have any questions, they can email me at jeff@cornholemb.ca.
Jeff, this is awesome. Might even pop by to check it out. I hope you and everyone participating has an awesome weekend. I know you will. It seems like it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. And good luck moving forward with the Manitoba Cornhole Provincials.
Thanks, appreciate
maybe
it.
next year we need to get a special WST division for our Winnipeg Sports Talk belt amongst all of our regulars in the chat. We could put that together. It'd be pretty fun.
I like it. Let's do it.
Have a great one. Good luck on the weekend.
Thanks, Huss. Take care.
Good stuff. There's Jeff Munday, Manitoba Cornhole Association. I wonder, Remo, I'm just thinking about all the people that come to our events. A big cornhole tourney for WSTers would actually be an absolute riot, I think.
This curling rink with all the boards set up, I agree, ripe for a possible WST event. And we could for sure, make teams very social, sounds like having fun, but also competitive. As you mentioned, there's analytics. So I'm for sure in if we can do our target percentage accuracy. I'm sure. Is there charting like where you're hitting the bag?
I love the
on
fact
the board?
that there's analytics in cornhole right now. But you know what? Listen, anytime there's money involved, and we've seen how it's affected so many different sports, it's going to be the case. And I mean, there is a science to it, right? I mean, like I played with some different boards, different bags, and you're always kind of figuring it out as you go along. But if you've got like standards, which an association has, it's the same for everyone, and you can get some good info out of that. So
everyone in chat is down. It's your boy Bruce. Sign me up. Tyson says he can chuck. This is fun.
Bruce, Tyson, T. Will. Those are the guys I thought of immediately, actually, as we have it. Yes. How many expected holes? I don't know what the X. I don't know what the X is on the cornhole analytics, but we're gonna be. We're going to check that out. Tyson, I might see you chuck into the parking lot before one of these Bomber games coming up, but you know what? That is great. We're going to put that on the list of something for us to do, and whether we do it at one of their events or we try and maybe get them involved for one of our own events, could be a heck of a lot of fun. But yeah, check out the Manitoba Cornhole Association if you're interested. And it's the Heather Curling Club this weekend, Friday and Saturday night. Thanks to Jeff for jumping on the program. All right, we got to get to Coolbet lines and get these pods up. But I mentioned earlier, our friends from Manitoba Battery are now powering the Winnipeg Blue Bombers this year as a proud corporate sponsor of the Blue and Gold. And we do have 4 tickets courtesy of Manitoba Battery for the preseason opener next week on Friday night. Should be some great weather. I know a lot of people excited to see little Taylor Elgersma out there, as well as the newest members of the Blue Bombers. So we have set up another entry. Go to winnipegsportstalk.com/contest. Click on the Bomber ticket giveaway link and put in your info. And Remo and Connor will give those tickets away next Wednesday on the show, courtesy of our great sponsors over at Manitoba Battery. While you're at it, if you're going to winnipegsportstalk.com/contest, and if you can make it on June 3rd, make sure to put your name in the hat to potentially be one of the horses in the Assiniboia Downs horse race next Wednesday. And that third winner will join Chelsea Cowboy, their guests, and the WST team on Wednesday at the Downs on June the 3rd. All right, let's get to the Coolbet lines tonight. We got a hockey game, folks. Round 3, game 1, Carolina Hurricanes, -203 favorites. Montreal Canadiens, +170. Reem, I'll be honest, I think this series... I think we're going to know a lot about this series after one game. If Montreal can win tonight, take advantage of the long layoff for Carolina, keep their momentum going from Game 7, I think they are absolutely live for this series. I think it might be short if they don't win tonight. And I know that's crazy. They say the series doesn't start till you lose at home. If Carolina can get up to a 2-0 lead coming out of these first 2 games, I don't like the Habs' chances of getting it back to Montreal for a second time. So to me, the stakes are high tonight for the Montreal Canadiens, but they passed all the tests so far. And it would not shock me at all if they won as a +170 underdog at Coolbet tonight.
Montreal's been surprising everyone all playoffs. I certainly didn't have them getting this far. And I mean, the way they won those 2 Game 7s, shout out to Jakob Dobish, who would be, I think he'd be their Conn Smythe pick if they did make it and win.
Him or Kerfoot.
Yeah.
He just scores every big goal in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. So I still have Carolina, but you never know after this long layoff. Montreal's got fresh legs, and Carolina's been sitting around. The big joke is like Nikolai Ehlers could have gone and played for Denmark at the Worlds and came back, and maybe should have done that to stay fresh. So we'll see how Carolina is. I still like them to win. I still like a Carolina-Colorado Cup final, even after the Colorado lost the first game. But, you know, that's why they play them, Huss. We'll have to see how it goes.
Yeah, you know it. There are, if you go click on series prices, Carolina's -270, Montreal +215. If you like Carolina in a sweep or 5 games, it's +170. Carolina in less than 7, so 4, 5, or 6 is -140. The Habs, if you think the Habs can win in 6, +323 if they can finish up at home. And you also have goal and point props for most of the big players. There is a prop, 30-1, Montreal Canadiens to win the series in overtime of Game 7.
Wow.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I should almost throw a 10 on that just because that will, of course, be the way Montreal makes it through. Seth Jarvis over 2.5 goals is +165. Sebastian Aho, same thing, +185. Those guys got to get going. I don't mind Aho over 5.5 points in the series, though. It's +140. Because I do think the Habs will be able to find their way to win a few games and get a few more, but they got to get that top line going. And it's like they're starting from scratch again after the 2-week layoff. So that is there tonight. If you're wondering about the Vegas-Colorado series, you probably haven't seen this yet, Reem.
No, I haven't.
Don't click it yet. What do you think the series price is right now on Colorado-Vegas after Vegas won the first game? Of course, Colorado was a big favorite beforehand. I think in and around -210. The Vegas was like +185.
Is Colorado like minus like 110 now? Like minus 120? Are they still slight favorite?
You nailed it. Minus 120.
Wow.
A slight favorite. Vegas Golden Knights, even, plus 100.
Okay.
So if you like Colorado and you think that this was just a blip and they'll be fine, now's the time to jump on it. The odds just about got sliced in half for the Colorado Avalanche. Minus 120. Vegas Golden Knights, plus 100. Tonight in the association, we've got the Cavaliers and the Knicks. The Knicks, 5.5-point favorites. I'm surprised. That was 6 yesterday. It's gone down. I thought it was go up because I think there's a lot of people, myself included, saying the Cavs are toast after choking the way they did in game number 1. The Mecca will be rocking tonight. Knicks, minus 208 on the money line and minus 5.5. And the Spurs, or the OKC got their big win last night. But it hasn't changed the odds that much. That being said, the Spurs still have home ice or home court. If you like the Spurs, who were 4-1 against OKC all year, and now we're coming back at home, Spurs plus 127. Now would be the time to get in on San Antonio. It is all up there for you over at coolbet.com. And now, do we have Blue Jays today? Yes, the Jays finishing up against the Yankees, trying to split this series. How about Trey Savage last night, Remo? What a performance by the kid. Man, did the Jays need that. They needed a great game from their pitchers, and they got it. Starters, bullpen, Louis Varland hangs on, and the Jays get a massive 2-1 win. They're plus 120 today to get the win, and we're still waiting to see. I think they might be going with a bullpen game, so we'll see what the Jays are doing for that. But, man, Savage was great yesterday.
Yeah, Blue Jays have had some rough luck this year with injuries, but Savage, coming back, started the season injured, had that amazing playoff run. Yeah, 6 innings, 8 strikeouts, only 2 hits allowed, no walks. I mean, what an impressive start, and, concerns about the bullpen. Well, how about Louis Varland as closer has shutting the door yesterday, got a little hairy, but managed to complete the save. And going into Yankee Stadium, no easy task. Trey Savage, we thought, okay, this is what he's doing in the playoffs, but can he replicate this in the regular season? Looking pretty good early on this season.
Hey, one other thing to mention over at Coolbet, of course, the World Championship odds, Canada's like a minus 10,000 favorite. Pass on that one for tomorrow. But the Memorial Cup is starting tomorrow. And my partner on the lock shop, the one and only Mr. Dustin Nielsen, brains of the operation of EST, will be calling the Mem Cup along with our guy Frankie Corrado in Kelowna. So no Dusty on the lock shop for the next little bit, but you'll get a lot of Dusty on TSN. Futures for the Memorial Cup. QMJHL, Chicoutimi Saguenayens, plus 160. WHL champion Everett Silvertips, plus 195. The Kitchener Rangers of the OHL, plus 225. And the host Kelowna Rockets, 4-1. We got F1 Montreal up at Coolbet right now. Kimi Antonelli and George Russell, the favorites to win in Montreal on the weekend. And I may have to check this out tomorrow and mention it on the Coolbet lines, but I see that there are WWE odds up for Saturday night's main event.
Okay, is that normal that they would have, that's not a pay-per-view, is that? Or sorry, a premium live event? That's not a premium.
No, it's not, but it's a bigger event, I guess. And what's cool about this is that like the Rhea Ripley Charlotte Flair against Jade Cargill Mishin match, it's a 6-woman tag team. Rarely you get close odds in wrestling. It's minus 125 and minus 110. And the Becky Lynch Sol Ruka match, plus 125 to minus 175. So if you are a wrestling person and you're interested, check that out over at coolbet.com as well. And if you have been waiting, you still got about a week and a half to get ballots in for the Vancouver Voyage trip. You and a friend flown out, Vancouver, Canada, in the World Cup, hotel, done up like Coolbet always does. So make sure to get your ballots in and make sure you've opted into the contest. Fun show today, Reem. Munz is going to join us tomorrow. The match play is starting. The qualifiers for the match play brought to you by the great people at St. Mattel Dental Center. Terry's a big supporter of golf in Manitoba. So Munz is going to join us before that gets going tomorrow out at Scotswood Links. Ken Weeb also going to join us tomorrow for the program. And we're going to check in. What a week for the Neepawa natives. Dwight Hurst is going to come back and kind of recap the win at the Centennial Cup, as well as what's been up to for the Nighthawks of Niverville as they were celebrated in the at the provincial legislature. Big party in Niverville. So we'll look forward to having Coach Hurst with us. We'll check in with Hacksaw. We'll do marbles. All of that coming up tomorrow. Busy show today. Really good stuff. I want to thank everyone for joining us. I want to thank all of our sponsors for making the show happen each and every day. Of course, Darren Bauming, Murat Ates, Clayton, Swanton from the Northgate Trails. Make sure to check that out. And Jeff Munday, president of the Manitoba Cornhole Association. Big show tomorrow. We'll break down game one of Habs and Canes. Talk some Bombers, talk a little golf, talk Jets off season with Ken. And again, Dwight Hurst coming back one more time as a national champion on the program. That's going to do it for us. For Michael Remis, I'm Andrew Paterson. Have yourself a great night, and we'll see you tomorrow to kick off another weekend right here on Winnipeg Sports Talk.
Oh, my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.